Okay, as Brianna said today, I just want to talk a little bit about my experiences using Team Foundation Service to manage your application's lifecycle. My name is, let's redo that one. Okay. All right, my name is Tim Starr, and I'm a principal consultant, a .NET architect here at Intertech. I'm also a Visual Studio ALM Ranger, and that's basically I work with a bunch of the Microsoft field professionals, so the folks actually out there using and doing consulting with the ALM tools and Visual Studio in general. And our task is to provide out-of-band solutions for common problems that are blocking the adoption of using Visual Studio for your ALM. So this is something I tend to do not between 9 and 5. It's kind of on my own time. I meet a lot of passionate, hardworking folks from Microsoft, and that's really been a terrific experience, a chance to actually work directly with the folks that are writing the bits. And just for your information, Microsoft does in fact use these ALM tools internally as well. So not only are they writing the tools that we use every day, but they're using them themselves to build their software. Okay, I'm also, let's see, I do some consulting and training mainly on the Microsoft test tools. Formerly in a previous life, I was a development manager, so ALM was a big thing back then. It's still a big thing today. Let's see, I got a bunch of certifications that don't mean a whole lot, and I'm a 3-time Microsoft MVP in Visual Studio ALM. Today, I just want to, we're not going to dive deep into anything really, but we're going to kind of get a high-level overview of all of these things, starting with a little bit of Team Foundation Service. Then we're going to take a peek at just a sample Azure website, and the point is not to learn about the code within the Azure website. The point is just that we're going to be managing the builds and deploys and that sort of thing. And we're going to look a little bit at configuring the Azure portal to work with Team Foundation Service. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to set up 3 different kinds of builds. We're going to do a continuous deployment, gated check-in, and then we're actually going to connect to Team Foundation Service locally and run a build. Okay, so first, why would somebody consider using Team Foundation Service rather than Team Foundation Server installed on premises? And the big benefits to me anyways are the first, primarily the cost of entry. Standing up Team Foundation Service and getting all the SharePoint and the SQL Server and all that good stuff lined up, it can take some pretty serious hardware. It can take some pretty serious planning. It's not by any means a trivial task. So it usually takes some consulting dollars or a whole lot of reading on your part to do things right. So rather than that, the argument and the idea behind Team Foundation Service is rather than that big upfront investment, let's distribute this over time and just consider this an operating expense. A couple of the other benefits, though, include the simplified geographical distribution. And by that, I mean if you've got development teams spread around the country or the world, you don't need to go worrying about poking holes in your firewall and setting up proxies and that sort of thing. It's also available anywhere. As a part of the Rangers, we were using Team Foundation Service for all of our collaboration, and boy, was it convenient that regardless of which customer I was at, I had access to the source code and to the documentation and the bits we were sharing, so that was awesome. Windows Live ID authentication. I'm going to leave that as a benefit for now and not say much about it. The reduced maintenance cost, definitely nice to have the team responsible for running Team Foundation Service, also responsible for the maintenance of it. You don't need to worry about installing service packs or anything like that. That's all done by the Team Foundation Service team. And then also, and this kind of goes into the capital expenditure, when you're standing up your Team Foundation server on premises, you need to be worried about failover and redundancy and keeping the system ticking so it's highly available for your crew. And in the Team Foundation service world, that responsibility all falls on to Microsoft. And then some of the downsides, limitations, and differences between running Team Foundation service versus the on-premises installation. One of the, I guess, two of the bigger ones right now are the SharePoint integration is not supported for the initial release, and lab management as well as the reporting services are not supported for the initial release. Maybe a couple other limitations that are a little, one more I would call a pretty major limitation is the project template customization. That's not available at all in the initial release either, which means you're stuck with using one of the off-the-shelf templates that are available to you. And then some of the smaller limitations are things such as custom control integration. Intertech does a lot of TFS consulting, and we've written some custom controls to work with TFS and for things like time and that sort of thing, and that's not supported. The Windows Live authentication, I would consider both a benefit and a limitation. That's your only form of authentication right now, and that's the way it's going to be, I believe, in the initial release. Backup, that's right. Backup, that's going to be solely the responsibility of the Team Foundation Service team, and for a lot of folks, that's a difficult pill to swallow. A lot of dev teams like to be in complete control of what's going on with their code assets. And then finally, if you're in a place where the connection to the internet is not dependable, well, then your connection to Team Foundation Service is not going to be dependable either. Okay, and then just a couple of spots you can go for maintenance. There's in the tfs.visualstudio.com. There's news such as new features that are available and that sort of thing. And then there's also a link to ping if you're having problems with TFS, and if you're not sure if they're internal, external, or where they are. You can get the status of Team Foundation Service by going to that second URL. Another thing I wanted to notice when I set up this talk, it was in preview mode, and it's not in preview mode anymore. And along with that, the URL to the Team Foundation service has changed. And one of the Visual Studio, he's a ranger for sure, I think he's an MVP as well, Jesse wrote a blog on how you can more easily update your Visual Studio, your team essentially, to point at the release version of Team Foundation Service rather than the preview version. So this URL will point you in that direction. Okay, now I want to go into demo, and the vast majority of the rest of this talk is going to be demo. And I just wanted to mention I'm going to skip, I think, just one step here, but it's going through this. It's pretty impressive. We're going to create the Team Foundation service. We're going to create a project. We're going to add a solution. We're going to set up Azure for continuous deploy, and then set up several different flavors of build. And we're probably going to do this all in less than an hour. And I think this is pretty representative of what folks that want to try Team Foundation service would go through just to go out, get connected, get a feel for what it can do for their team. So pretty impressive. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, if just for the sake of going through the motions, if you're going to, you need to register for a Team Foundation Service account, and that's done at tfs.app.visualstudio.com. You go out here and you do have some control over what the URL name is. So if you wanted to put in your company name or something like that, I think I used Intertech Azure user group, for example. I'm not going to hit OK because I know that